Hello, everyone. Today, I'm going to be talking about how Data Steward could use CluedIn to master the data. This will entail creating a new record, where we're going to be also not just creating a record, but also creating new attributes afterwards. Then we're going to look how through the data quality rules, we could also send data quality notifications when the rules are wrong. And then we're going to be looking at how can we modify the records to improve that quality, as well as doing this en masse later on. At the end, of course, we're going to go through this investigative approach of finding and merging the duplicates. When you create a new record, including there will be two ways. Of course, one simplistic way which you can use within CluedIn, and the other way that you could use using our CluedIn Power Apps integration. So when you log in this case, we're going to be logging in as a data steward. You're going to be seeing this username and password. For most of the enterprises, instead, you're going to be seeing just one button, which is enabling you to log in via single sign-on. That means that you could use already your logins that you use throughout all of your enterprise. And when you start logging in at the first page, you're going to be seeing that there is not all of the pieces available. This is because it's the data steward and all the features are not enabled for every of the users, and it is still visible for all of the users so that you could request it if you don't, if you expect that, okay, this feature will be useful and I would like to use it as well. And now we could take a look at the new data entry. And this we're going to be using the option of manual data entry. And there we're going to be choosing, for example, the new employee that we want to enter. So this is already the forms that you would define, like a data engineer or someone would define. It's also graphically can be defined. And first thing we're going to be adding, of course, this is the 4 fields that are defined within this form. And here we can choose already some existing values, which you can see here are the available. This is from the past records of the same kind. Or we could just simply write our own. And in this case, intentionally, I'm going to be writing the wrong one, a new one, so that we can see how the data quality works in action. And when you see this first name and last name, I'm going to add as mine. And I'm going to add my work email that everybody already know, eiko@cluedin.com. Now, when we add record, you're gonna get immediately this little notification saying to you that new record has been created successfully. But when you now search for Alexander Kovacevic, we're gonna be seeing 2 records of Alexander Kovacevic. When we now take a look at it and we click on each one of them, we're gonna be noticing that neither this record nor the other one is actually related to the ones that we just created. Why is this the fact? When you actually send something to be created, to be modified, and so on, you're going to be always sending this data to the entity type owner, in this case, employee and entity type, to approve these changes that has been done. And this is what currently is happening within our teams. This is what going to be sent to a Teams message, and you're going to be receiving a new request that looks like this. And it's up to you as a data owner to accept these changes. And as soon as it gets accepted, the first thing we could then take a look is again searching for Alexander Kovacevic. And as we do this, we're going to be noticing that there is 3 Alexander Kovacevics. And even though we can sort by new, we can already see here that by department finance we just entered, that is that account. And on top of this, we can see that this is our record that has been created. So now we can also think about adding a new properties to this account. So in this case, we can use either existing property that we already have defined in our model, or we actually create a new attribute that hasn't been decided before. In this case, we're going to use the existing ones. We're going to set up, for example, employee that age. And then we're going to be picking up exactly some values that we want to have. Let's say 35. I put a bit more my age a little bit different. And now we can say send it to be created. And as you can already expect, we will not going to be seeing directly the changes on the record because we need to wait for the approval for the data by the data owner so that we could actually get this approved by the data owner so that it can be seen back in the CluedIn. So this is exactly what's currently happening. Now we're going to approve this message as a data owner, and this we're going to then immediately, when we go back to our record, it will going to be immediately be seen here as new information as employee 35 we have received. So now let's think about the case when we, for example, have data quality rules defined. In this case, I have defined the data quality rule where the department should not be any other than 4 different departments' names. And now we want to see how you data stewards could, for example, receive the notification of such invalid cases. So in that case, you are going to be receiving, for example, Teams message, and that could be coming directly to, for example, specific channel for that the people who are responsible for that entity type, for example. And you see here already, hey, this data requires your attention. Please taking a look at all of these names. So when we click on this record, we're going to have this specialized view where we see all of these records which got tagged with the invalid department name. And this is your view that you can use and take a look at. So this is your task list, so to say. You need to fix this data. So let's first look at our Alexander Kovacevic, because that one record that we just created, we know that it was not a properly written department. So for these purposes, we can, for example, find it by, because it's the latest record, we can find it as a latest added record, and we can then simply then modify this. So when we are here, we can see already there are some tags here already available. And this is the part of the next topic, which will going to be about how you can modify the golden records additionally. So when we look at it, again, you can notice that, for example, we have these 2 different tags, invalid department and not working email. That helps you already understand that there are some data quality issues with your record. And then we can now go on and fix it. So right now, in this case, we have department as a finance. So we can go on and edit the file. So if you click on here and we get this record saved, we can then fix it to the one that we want to have. This is, for example, finance, makes more sense. So we can then choose finance. And the moment we chose this finance, the data still will not going to be immediately shown in the CluedIn until we get this approval by the data owner being done. And in this case, we're going to be giving this owner, we're going to receive this message. And here you're going to be exactly seeing, hey, this is the approve, and we need to wait a little bit. So here is this message. And you can see here exactly, hey, we need to approve this. And then this change that has been done will gonna be immediately be affected within the this record. So now the question is coming is that you have all of this, and you see here also it's already disappeared from this list, but still we have 49 different records that we need to fix. We cannot do this one by one going, it could be also thousands of such records. For these purposes, we could also do something called mass editing of the golden records. And this, in this case, we have CluedIn offers you many ways how we can fix this problem. In this demo, I'm going to talk you through the option of using the CluedIn Clean. And within the same view, you don't go away from this view. You can then go on and pick up the clean option. And this will open you as project, which is already predefined. You just need to name it. We're going to name it, I don't know, clean the department. And you don't need to set up anything else because from this view already we picked up that we need to have this departments and entity type and name, and we just need to create this project. Now we're gonna kind of put these values all in a temporal environment so that we can play around with it, so that we could finally take a look at this and fix it. So how can we fix it easier and faster with CluedIn? So first, we can use this faceting approach, the text facet. And when we click on it, we're going to be seeing that there is a little bit of options of what kind of values there exist in this kind of department, in this data we have. And this still doesn't help you too much. But when you go on a clustering approach, this is a feature that CluedIn enables you to kind of suggest you all of the possible ways that, for example, he figures out that it might be the same value. For example, in this case, marketing. And then he chooses the suggested a new value that he thinks that would be more appropriate. And this is the place where I believe that this stop being a responsibility of data engineer to do, but rather of the person who knows the data, who will be able to confirm this, that this is a proper suggestion and that it has been used. And this is also the place where, in our opinion, we try with as less code as possible to let data stewards choose, and they be part of the jobs for the data stewards to empower them to be able to do this themselves. So now I'm going to be going through each one of those suggestions, and we could just simply click on each one of them and say, hey, I want to select, for example, for merge those values. And I'm not merging the records in this case. It's important to mention. I'm merging just the ability of saying all of these values should now be finance, should be sales and human resources. And of course, the suggestion will not always be correct. So in this case, for example, it's finance. So we're going to change this. And then we can fix not only these suggestions, and just by going through this in a couple of seconds, practically, we're going to be able to fix most of our data. So let's say now we select these things, and you can see on the right side that there is a already pretty much better result that we're having. So let's go further, and this is first one is the CluedIn algorithm. We can go through any other algorithms that are existing to help out, and there will be more suggestions coming up, and those ones we can also accept, and voila, we have finished the whole thing within 30 seconds, and we got all of this data fixed. Now we can process this data back, but while processing this data Stewards has the ability to say, hey, CluedIn, learn about these things that have changed, and just please do not happen this again. I don't want to work with the same issues again. So now I can confirm this, and this way the rules were going to be created, which we're going to fix this whenever it comes ever again. So during this processing time, we can go back and take a look at our original view, and we could take a look again how much of those invalid records with invalid department name actually still exist. So we're gonna refresh this page. Yeah, actually we cannot refresh the page. The point is now as well is that we have changed something happening. That means that this mass change that we have just done will gonna also be reflected towards the approval process. So the data owner of the employee needs to approve this one as well. So in a little bit, we're going to be receiving a new message where this time we're going to have 49 records that has been changed, and that we could just simply approve and say, aha, okay, this sounds good. Let's approve it and let's take a look. And as soon as it's being approved, CluedIn, we're going to immediately update this. And now we see that we fixed overall all of our issues just by like that. So now comes to the third and last point is that related to the duplicates. So CluedIn believes that this is something that, again, needs to be done by data stewards. You need to let them be able to find ways how you can find the duplicates. This is their work where they should easily just look for possible ways how can they find new duplicates. So let's say in this case, this is being done by using something called the duplication projects. So in this case, you're going to go under the management and click on the duplication. And in there, it is there we were going to do this kind of investigative approach. We were going to be able to set up a rules using the intuitive user interface. And this we're going to be looking like this. We create a project, then we set up, for example, a new name. In this case, we can also, for example, use the specific filters to subset the data if we want something specific. Or in this case, we're just going to go for the employees, all of them. And now we're talking about these matching rules. So for the beginning, I'm going to set up a matching rule, which we're going to be just very common first name and last name. It's not realistic, I know, but it will going to be helpful just to like get first results. So we're going to make a first name. We're going to pick exactly where this first name is in this, which property it is. And now I can choose a matching function. This matching function, we're going to, for example, in this case, choose a fuzzy matching, SIFT4, and this means that now two first names which are matching more than 75% will gonna be the ones who will gonna be considered as a match. But this is happening only once we are doing these normalization techniques. And these are helping you to clean up a little bit of data. So for example, taking or putting all both first names in the lowercase beforehand, or removing the white spaces beforehand, or taking any punctuation and special characters along the way, or diacritics, these accentuations that we have. But also we have this ability to give you to use person names variations when Alexandre and Alexander can be used, or certain nicknames like Alex. And along the way, there's many other options that you can use for different kind of data that you have, including also, for example, this at bottom, transliterate option is a very useful thing to be used when you have a data of different alphabets, like a Cyrillic and Chinese. And now we're going to be doing a bit faster for the second one, where we're going to be also using the last name. So here we have our last name, and we're going to use, again, SIFT4, let's say 75%. And then we could just pick up exactly roughly the same type of normalization techniques. Maybe first name variance not necessarily needed, but transliteration option we're going to be using. So now I press X and add rule. We can then generate matches and take a look of our first results. Because this the duplication project is running so fast, you might be even thinking of doing to all of the data, but you can also use on a subset of data. So let's take a look at my name of this Alexander Kovacevic and see just all of the results. This is all of the results that match this first name and last name matching condition. And when we look at this data, this is side-by-side comparison of the records that we are having. So the Data Steward now has a complete view of all of these records and could decide which one is good. And here we see, for example, the Neom. There is one Alexander which has Neom as a city, and that means that this one might not be really fitting to the other one. So we have two options for that. Either we remove this from this group, or we do something better. We redefine the duplication project and say, hey, we need to add a city to it so that we improve the quality of the results that are coming out. So this we're going to be doing. Let's just discard these results and add one more rule to it. This is this investigative part of the whole story. We can now add a new city. We're going to put employee.city. And as a match, let's put this time exact. Let's say that cities are well done. And we're going to just take a little bit of issues of like typical points. And then when we say add this, now we're going to be, our rule going to be first name, last name, and the city. So it has to match on all three of them in this, or using these matches that we have. Now, when we generate results again, we're going to have a different results. And specifically, we're going to be getting this Alexander Kovacevic, but this time less matches between this group, which means that when we look inside, we're going to see that there is no anymore that one from Bosnia and Herzegovina. So, and now you can choose, and you can see that there is a Paderborn as a city, there is a street number as the same, and there is a postal code which is the same. So already gives you a big confidence that this could be right. This could be a right set of Alexanders that we should accept. And now the second question comes in, we have so many conflicts. So what shall we do with these conflicts in general? One thing to do is that, of course, you can click in each one of them and just pick up which one you have. But if you have 200 of those properties, it will take forever to do this. So for these purposes, CluedIn also offers you a capability of using auto-select, which means that CluedIn will gonna run the best option, or will find the best option based on the survivorship rules, either the ones that you created yourself, or based on the by default latest modified date wins, because this means that it's like the record which has this property, which is the most actual one, will gonna be prevailing in this whole situation. So now, when we look at our next step, we're gonna be seeing the preview, and we can then immediately approve this message. So now we have approved these ones, and usually in this whole process, you're going to be also constantly having this kind of one day of people just going through these records and approving them or not. And in this particular regard, we have found that this is a really good result. So maybe we could just simply automatize the whole process. So let's just press merge all, and this is something that you can also automatize. You can say, okay, I want to merge all of this data, and this will means that we're going to merge this all Alexanders into one single record. So as you see, that this is now succeeded, and now you are going to be able to see those merges being done under the merges tab. So if I look now at the merges, I'm going to see now Alexander, and it will lead you to topology. So you can still see that this is just this new merge record, but I still don't see how this records got merged and what is this constituting, and I don't have access for it. So let us actually now, for the fun's sake, take a chance and request an access. So when you request an access for this integration, then the administrator will gonna be getting the notification as a task, hey, there's someone who requests access to this data. So I intentionally logged in as another browser to this data, and you can see here I am the administrator in this case, and I can click on the tasks, and I can see the Data Steward has asked me for this access to these roles. I'm gonna grant it. And before I grant, I have to actually choose which role should I additionally assign to him so that he can have this. For the fun's sake, let's give him data governance administrator, but probably there should be a little bit better defined role in this case. So once we have accepted this, you can see that he has been approved, but before he can be able to see this data, we need to log out and log in again. And for these purposes, we just need to log out and write our database. So this will going to be Data Steward at demoing.com, and also then the password. And this is the place where we're going to be now seeing this view. This is this view where you understand just how this record is created from. And this is based on this sets of values that you see surrounding. It's based on this duplication project that has been done.